So what we're going to talk about is using digital assets for a new income stream from Amazon. And it's not what you think. This is not selling products on FBA or anything like that. This is something completely different. And this is what I've been doing myself for the last few years and really enjoying it. And also, not only is it a fun and pretty straightforward business model, far easier than anything else I've done before. I reckon it's actually the simplest online business model I've seen on the planet. And it's got the potential for 4 or 5 figure monthly income streams if you do the work and learn how to do it properly. It's got loads of traffic. There's opportunities on a website with 2.3 billion buyers every year, and you can get it cranking in a very short space of time, 30 days or so, with some help from some AI tools. You know, this is a total game changer. So it's not ChatGPT. We'll cover this during the presentation, but this is something I think you'll find really valuable. And so really looking forward to sharing it with you. Now, this is a completely new and different thing from anything you've probably seen before. There's no big marketing efforts with advertising or social media or dealing with customers or refunds, which is what you'd see in lots of other ways of making money online. The system I'm talking about today is called the KPI system, and it's a way of creating digital assets. You don't need to have your own website. You don't need to spend lots of money on advertising or do any creating of the product. You don't need to deal with any customers, and you get into business really nice and fast. So I think this is a real winner, and this is what I'm doing myself and really enjoying it. So some of the students who I've been helping get started with this have had some really good results. And Christopher here is a student of mine, and he's a registered nurse. He was working in a rest home, and he's spent years trying every side hustle out there. And maybe you're the same. This isn't the first thing like this you've looked at, but he tried blogs and building websites. But he made $300 in his very first month with his first book, and he didn't write it himself. He just did one book and got that started, made a few $100s, and now he's got 3 lined up for launch. And you don't need that many for that income stream to start to really quickly and easily add up. And he can see the best part is it could replace his full-time income and do what he does the most, enjoys the most, which is traveling and being with his family. So that's a really nice example of just how simple and quick, starting small. This is not $1 million overnight kind of business. This is start small, but grow it steadily and let those little income streams all compound. And before you know it, life starts to look very different. Sarah here did 65 sales in her first month, and she's now no longer living paycheck to paycheck. She's a teacher at a school, and she's about to get married, and she's about to start a family. So she's really focused on just getting those income streams before her life looks very different. And she's done the program where she's learned how to do this in a month, and she's done 65 sales. So she can see how she can scale that and replace her income. And she says, if she can do this, anybody can do it. And I totally agree. It's not tricky. There's no special skills. It's all about the process and the system and the support. So she's really thankful she did this. So that's another nice example of what's possible here. But perhaps you're here today not on your first webinar like this. I mean, I've done lots and lots of looking at things and testing out ideas, and a lot of things sound great, and then you realize, aha, there's the catch. But this one, I think, when you see how it works, you'll see it's a very simple one, and there's no catch. And there's a lot of things that make it really, really attractive if you're trying to start small and steady. And also, there's a nice upside. You know, there's lots and lots of potential with it, but it's not really complicated. You don't need lots of skills, and that's what I really love about it. You're not actually producing anything. You're not buying inventory up front. There's no social media, the things that really put me off a lot of the other opportunities, selling to friends and family, none of that. So you're in the right place. So let's have a look at comparing what we're doing here with investing. So it's all very nice to be able to invest and you know, put a few $100,000 into a quality property and enjoy the rental incomes forevermore. But, you know, you've got to have some serious cash to get into certain types of investing like property, or you need to have some really smart skills if you're trying to pick some stocks and win with that game. So compared to investing, what I'm going to talk about today is a lot easier, but it's still a form of investing because you only pay to create these assets once, and then they keep returning that profit for you forevermore. So it's a real investment type business model, although it's way better than most kinds of investing. And I think pretty much anyone can do this. If you can drive your emails and add an attachment to a document attachment, or something like that, you've got the tech skills required. And there's really a process to follow to get the results. So in terms of how it works, there's a little story I like to share just to show the difference of different ways of making money. And one is being like one of these two characters you can see on the screen. So Pablo on the left here, he goes to work for a job. So he works for an employer. He goes off every day and he earns an hourly rate or a salaried job, and that's great. And when he stops working, his employers stop paying him. And that's the equivalent to Pablo in this cartoon here, going off to get water for his house in the village each day by walking with buckets up to the well, gathering the water, carrying it back, back-breaking work. And also, if he stops doing it, there is no more water. He stops, the flow stops. There is no water if he doesn't go and do that work each day. And that's the same as being employed. When you stop working, they very quickly stop paying you. Whereas Bruno is doing something different. So on the right here, you can see he's gone off and he's dug a trench and he's put some pipes through there, although it looks like he hasn't covered this one up, actually. Might give him some plumbing tips one day. But basically, he's built a pipeline. He's gone and done some work once. He's tapped into the source at the well. And he's built that channel, and it's flowing water downhill, passively flowing to him all day, every day. And he can just turn on a tap. He's done the work once, but he gets to turn on a tap to enjoy that water for the rest of his life and his families and the rest of the village. You could probably even sell some of that water to Pablo. So the smart game is clearly to do some work once and then set up the income stream forevermore. And, the analogy of the water is quite similar, really. You do the work once and it flows forevermore. So that's what this business model today is about. You do some work once and then the money just keeps on flowing, and you can do it again and again and create more and more income streams. And that's really cool. So you need to think in your life whether you want to be a bucket carrier and just work harder and carry bigger buckets, or try and carry them faster by working more hours or getting a bigger job. Or do you want to build a pipeline and just step back and enjoy a more passive income stream? I certainly would prefer an income stream that's as passive as I can get it. There's never 100% passive, of course, but there's certainly smarter ways of doing things and harder ways of doing things. So I think today's way is a very smart way. And what we'll cover today is how you can do this. So how you can set up a new income stream and just create it once and set up a pipeline so you've got money potentially coming in while you sleep, which is very nice. Customers all around the world, all the things happening without you touching the business, without you driving anything on a website or turning up in person or having phone calls, nothing. You just create these digital assets once. So it's a business that doesn't need any special skills, no experience of any particular background or industry. You don't need to have anything to sell. You don't need an audience. You don't need a website. You don't need to drive any web traffic. You don't need lots of time, and you don't need to sell to friends and family, which is good. So I will stop from time to time. I know I talk quite fast, and I want to just check you're all still with me. So who here thinks that sounds pretty appealing? Who's interested and excited to learn more about this? I can jump in and out the chat box a little bit. Brilliant. Yeah. And you're all following along okay? Great. Hopefully going to make sense of this soon, and it'll all come clear. And by the end, you'll know exactly what to do. So there's a little bit of small print. I've got great results doing this, and maybe my results aren't typical because I've done the work. So it's not a get rich quick scheme. You actually need to do work, and I'll be showing you lots of examples of students or my examples throughout. They're not typical. We don't know every student's results, but I do fully believe that if you do the work in this, it's 100% viable for online earning. And it's what I'm doing myself. And what I teach is exactly what I do. So that's why I'm really, really happy to share it with you today. So 7 years ago, I got started trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. I was working really hard in a day job. I had a toddler and a baby, and I'd gone back after maternity leave trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I had quite a nice job. It was in the government in New Zealand here where I live. And it was all okay, but I was earning just enough, but I wasn't really seeing the children very much. I was paying the nanny pretty much everything I was earning by the time I took out parking and commuting and lunches and all the cost of being an employee, all that hassle and stress. I kind of came back at the end of the week pretty burnt out, children were just about in bed by the time I came home from work in the evenings, and it just wasn't really what I'd signed up for in life. I wanted to have children, to enjoy time with them and see more of them. And I could see the path ahead at work was just more of the same. You know, it got more senior, or it got more stressful, and you went into a different tax bracket. But really, the people a couple of levels up from me, I didn't really want to be those people. It didn't look all that appealing, just looked more stressful, frankly. So I had to think of a different way of doing things. So I started, you know, scanning and thinking, and hadn't really made any decisions. But one day I was sitting at my desk in my little cubicle, and the nanny who looked after the children sent me a text message, and she was down at the beach with my daughter, and they were playing in the sand, and it was sunny, and I was in this horrible grey office with my spreadsheets open, and it was just so grim. And I just knew then I had to get out of the day job and find a way to be at home so that I could spend time with the children and do that side of life really well, and then just find a way of earning enough money to do what I wanted to do. So I didn't really have a plan. I didn't know anything about having online businesses, but living in New Zealand and wanting to sort of keep it kind of a family focused sort of lifestyle, there was a limit to what kind of would work. So I just looked at online opportunities, and I had to work pretty quickly. It wasn't like, let's start writing a blog and see if I make money in 5 years. I had to start pretty quickly. And so, a bit like maybe you are today, I was looking around, looking for opportunities that made sense, that seemed really quality, that I'd be proud to own, that was sustainable, you know, that I could start once and get to know what I had to do and just do that thing well. So when I discovered the model I found, which was selling on Amazon, it really made sense, because Amazon brings all those customers to you. And I actually started out selling physical products, but that's not what I'm going to tell you about today. So I'm still selling on Amazon, but not physical products, none of this FBA and inventory and warehouses, way easier. So I did watch a lot of webinars. Oh my goodness, I've spent a lot of time watching webinars and reading many emails that I ended up on lists for, all about these too good to be true things. So became pretty skeptical about a lot of it, and really filtered through all of the fluff to find out what was real. But what was really real was the number of customers shopping on Amazon, the amount of money Amazon sellers were making by selling quality stuff on this huge platform, and also how Amazon makes it really easy for you, because they make money when you sell your products. So everybody's sort of aligned. And I could do it from home. I could do it in whatever hours I wanted, and I could go really big with it if I wanted. But actually, my initial goal, I remember writing my little business plan when I started, and I think I'd set a goal of $4,000 profit per month. And that was the number that was sort of better than going to the day job. That was, if I looked at the cost of childcare and commuting and parking and everything, and then what I paid the nanny, if I made 4K a month profit, I was better off than working plus a bit. So that was a pretty conservative number. Anyway, a few months down the track, I was making 50K a month. And in fact, in the run up to that first Christmas, I was having a really bad day at work and hating it. And everyone was really stressed in that run up to the end of the work year. You know, there's all these deadlines to hit and everyone's screeching around, and it was really stressful. And I had this app on my phone that tracked my Amazon sales, and I'd made $33,000 in one day while I was sitting in this stupid meeting with people all stressed around me. It's like, right, it's time to go. Can quit the day job now. So I built the business up while I was still working, and I think that's the way to do it. So I think this system I'm going to share with you today, it's a nice one because you can build it up while you are still doing your current stuff, while you're still doing your day job. And then when the time's right, you can step out or go to part-time hours or think about your retirement dates or whatever it might be. So I really worked hard at it. And I think that's one of the reasons it's been successful, is I've sort of spent time figuring out the right way to do it and improving the process all the time. But I've been quite focused on the process and making the outputs, the things that are for sale, really high quality. So that's what I'll share with you today. But I'm not selling physical products anymore. I am selling ebooks. Maybe that's a spoiler alert. I think that doesn't come up for a few slides, but I don't write the ebooks myself. I pay a ghostwriter online to write them, and I'll probably jumble up all my slides a bit now by telling you that so early. So anyway, there were lots of false starts in my research of what online businesses could be good. And I loved the Amazon model, and I worked really hard at it to understand it. I did courses, I got coaches, I figured it all out. I tried different products, but I did have really good results. Within 2 years, I sold my first Amazon brand for over $1 million US. And then I built another brand and sold that for a few $100,000. And I taught thousands of people how to sell products on Amazon. And obviously that's not a typical result, but I really spent a lot of time on driving Amazon over the last 10 years or so. And so I'm really passionate about selling on that platform, and I love teaching other people, and I've helped a lot of other people be successful with it too. So we're not talking about products today. What I think is way easier, way lower stress, and way lower competition is selling ebooks. Here's a snapshot of my ebook, one of my ebook accounts. So this is on Kindle. So some of you probably got a Kindle. I've actually got a Kindle app on my phone. I don't think I use my Kindle reader anymore, but anyway, I've got Audible as well. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm creating these digital books, which somebody else writes for me, non-fiction books, and sell them on Amazon. So here's $1.6 million in take-home pay. That's the royalty to me, not even the sales. That's what I received from this one Amazon book account over the years. So it's been really fun. Every month, tens of thousands of dollars rolling on in straight to my bank account here in New Zealand. And I do some work during school hours while the children are at the house. They're a bit older now. They're 9 and 11. So I work when they're at school some of the time, and then I go running and do other nice stuff. Go to yoga or take the dog for a walk. Have lots of time outside, can go traveling when we want. But really, that income stream has allowed me to have a very, very nice lifestyle and lots of time with the children, and a really, really healthy income stream. So this is my net income month after month, tens of thousands of dollars. So it's very passive. Every ebook I create keeps on selling, which is nice. I don't need to keep, writing. I don't write a word of them myself. I don't even need to do that much to brief the writers. They produce the books based on what the market's buying. And I own that book fully. It's like a digital asset. And then it basically goes on my virtual bookshelf for sale on Amazon. And when people buy them, I get paid. And Amazon pays me every month. And it's really easy. And it's so much easier than other forms of investment. So I pay up front for the book production. And that might be maybe $1,000 a month, $1,000 a book. Something like that, not too bad compared to other investments. So compared to investing in real estate, you need a lot of income or a lot of capital sitting around to get started, just that deposit, proving to the bank you can take on the mortgage, and it's really hard work. And you're fighting with all these other really sophisticated investors with deep pockets or development plans, which just price you out. And then if you're renting it out, there's all sorts of compliance and regulatory stuff, and you might make, well, I don't know about where you live, but here in New Zealand at the moment, it's pretty grim being a landlord. The returns are horrid, and there's lots of compliance, and you lose a lot of freedom. Like you can't sort of move your tenants out very easily, or, you've got some maintenance bills and some vacancy, and suddenly it's not such a good investment after all. But I know a lot of people who do well with property, but that's not my main game at all. But certainly the return on investment from ebooks is far, far higher for me than it could possibly be in real estate, even with the very best real estate deals. Kristen's a student of mine who is actually a real estate investor, and she started doing this Kindle stuff for a side income because it cash flows better. There's far more income straight away rather than that long game with real estate. You can't live on capital gains. You can't live on the equity in your house. You need some cash to live off. So what's nice that Kristen's done that's a bit different is she's got her mum involved and her son involved as well. And within 4 months, she's got 8 books going, and it's growing at 300% per month. And she thinks that the skill set's an amazing gift to give her children, and she wished she'd known about this sort of thing when she was younger. So that's really nice. It sits alongside other sources of investment or other income streams really nicely. It's not too time consuming, but it's nice and cash rich, which we like. If you invest in bonds at the moment, they sort of do whatever the opposite of, with interests high, all these inflation rates and things affect things like the bond rates. I'm not going to go too deep into the world of finance today and macroeconomics because I couldn't, but I do know that bonds have got a horrible yield on them at the moment. It's probably going to get better in the short term, but they're never that generous. And you also have all that money tied up and you can't access it while it's being grown by whoever's holding the bond for you, the government or some big institution. So that's not very flexible, and you need a lot of cash to live off the payouts from that. Stocks, you might get lucky or you might get really skilled, but you can also see these really skilled people get it horribly wrong a lot. And the amount of time to get those skills and the risk tolerance and the constant attention and the research you'd have to be doing on all the stocks, it's neither passive nor safe. It's definitely right at the riskier end. There are these sort of big traded index fund type things out there now, which are great because it makes it more passive. But the downside of that is, again, you've got to have tons of money tied up to live off the return. So unless you've got a huge nest egg or big lump sum, that one's a bit hard for most people to do. Mutual funds are really low payouts. And then, if you're a really, really skilled investor picking stocks, you might get 10 or 30% per year. But that's a really superb level of skill and effort and, getting everything right. So what I do is, I reckon, better than all of those. And that's what I can teach you to do. So digital assets, like an ebook, might cost you $1,000 to create. And I've got ebooks that generate $6,000 every month profit that I paid $1,000 for once, and some more and some less than that. But, like, the returns are insane. And you might make 0, you might make 100% return, you might make 1,000% return on that $1,000 investment. So when you get it right, you do a book topic that the market's really hot on and buying, and Amazon presents your book to those customers and they buy it, that can really take off. And so I choose these non-fiction topics that people are always interested in. They're quite boring, dog training, parenting. I mean, they're not boring topics, but they're not really sort of topical fad books. They're not really creative. There's not, a plot and 50 characters and a whole load of writing. They're just almost like researched topics put together as a nice quality ebook with a bit of structure, nice chapter breakdowns, and it's been fantastic. I'll tell you more about producing the books in a moment, but I think you're all with me. I'm just going to quickly check in on the chat box. Yeah, so these are ebooks that other people write for me. I put out a job on a agency and ask them to write the books for me, and they charge about $1,000 and take a month or maybe 6 weeks or so. So that's pretty fun. And I get to sit back, wait for a few weeks, the book comes in, I attach it to my Kindle account, and then it's live and for sale. I did one last week and it made #1 bestseller in all of Amazon entrepreneurship. So that was good. In fact, I had 2 out the same day. One was #1 and one was #3. Pretty happy with that. So anyway, with Kindle, the competition is very low. The volume is very high, so that's nice. It's easy to make the sale, and it's about as passive as you can get. You don't need to run your own website or do any techie stuff, so it's really easy to get started. And there's already over 1,000 people making $100,000 per year doing this. So I think you could probably do it too. So as I mentioned, I don't write the books myself. You would not need to write the books yourself. You don't need to be good at English or spelling or an editor or create stories or anything like that to do this. It's a process to follow. So there's sort of 3 secrets in it, and I'll take you through the kind of the process here a bit, high level process, not too detailed. Otherwise I'd be here all day. But I think this is a great time to be doing it. There's a lot of demand for ebooks, and growth's been really strong. The pandemic was in our favor because everybody's sort of stopped going to libraries and bookshops and got going with their Alexa speakers and their Kindles. And, people buy less physical books anyway. They're just much happier reading on screens. Screens on phones are bigger and better. So for $2 or $3, somebody can buy a great book on Kindle and have a good few hours quality education or entertainment. Hobbies or self-improvement, some of that self-help stuff sells like hotcakes. And so people love ebooks. They sell really, really well. 1 in 7 readers are now happy to read things as an ebook instead of a paperback. Huge market. And 9 out of 10 of all ebooks are sold on Amazon's Kindle platform. So that's where I want to be, where all the sales are. So I just do Kindle. I don't sell on any other book platforms, just one, and just do one thing well. Amazon lets anybody sell books. There's no editing or approval process. You don't need to go and pitch your manuscript or anything old school like that. And the competition's just so low. So for example, when I wrote this presentation, there were 589 cribs for sale on Amazon, but only 29 books on how to get your baby to sleep. So that's pretty impressive. That just shows you the difference in the level of competition. And those cribs might sell for $100 and maybe there's $10 profit. And the book might sell for $3, of which there's, $2 something profit. But you can sell 100 books a day So, it's just a different way of earning income, but I think this way is easier and much less stressful and much lower competition. You're not ordering a container load of cribs and hoping you can sell them and paying for the shipping and the stock up front and the storage and competing with the other people who've sold the same crib at the same time. Oh, it's just so much can go wrong. So I think this is a really, really good strategy and a good model. Amazon makes it really easy. There's no steps here that I couldn't teach you. Really straightforward when you know what the process is. And there's millions of readers. So you can get that book written, upload it, and it's there for sale 5 minutes later. So it's really nice. I've written a few books under my own name, but out of the hundreds I've now got selling, 99% would have been through ghostwriters. And that's worked really well. So there's some really quality people out there. Hard to believe how good they are for the amount they charge, but they'll write a book for you in perfect English. And we'll even talk a bit later on today about AI helping bring that production cost down even further. But I'm really focused on the quality of my books. So I don't think AI is quite there yet for 100%, press a button and get a book. But, 80% of the work can actually be done with some AI assistance now, which is really a game changer as well. So Amazon only has charges for you after the book's sold. So if you sell a book for $10, they keep $3. But you don't have to pay anything up front to sell your $10 book. You just do everything through Amazon. They pay you direct to your bank account. Everything's just so easy. It's brilliant. So you just need to collect the money, basically. Create the books, collect the money. And don't even create the books, just get someone else to create them. It's definitely as recession-proof and pandemic-proof as anything I've seen. My sales were cranking during those lockdowns. And there's so few people doing it. It's not a mainstream, obvious thing to be doing. I don't know that many other people that do it outside of my little community. So it's a great thing to be doing, something blue sky, open, lots of space, no rat bag competition. The world of FBA products or trying to get your Facebook ads seen, you're up against some really sharp marketers with big budgets and teams of people and massive databases. It's really hard to beat that. Whereas, create a book on how to make sourdough bread and have a lovely front cover and off you go, job done. So we use some software to find the book topics. So I happen to know that sourdough bread books have sold really well over the last few years because I've got great data on what's selling, and I've got great data on what keywords people search for in the book section of Amazon. And that makes it really easy to just create what the market wants to buy. So some of the topics are things like training Labradors. That if you did all of dog training, it's a bit too broad and it would be hard to compete with, Cesar Millan or big celebrities. You want to do something quite specific, quite sort of factual and nice, tight description. Somebody's got a Labrador, they want to train it. And so, the average revenue for people who've done a book on training Labradors is $651 a month. And that book might have cost somebody once $1,000 to create. But that's it. Then every month, so $8,000 a year, probably a bit higher than that actually. It's a massive return on investment. There's no other investment out there like it. Small space gardens, the average monthly revenue on that subject, on that book topic, $1,169. Now there's thousands and thousands and thousands of book topics with revenue like this every month. There's plenty of space for everyone. It's not that crowded. There's plenty of opportunity here. Bonsai, $650 a month on average. I think that's a really cool one. Waterwise gardening, $337. But even if that book costs you $1,000, it's paid itself off by month 3. And then every month forevermore, you've got an extra $300 coming in. Get 10 of those, $3,000 a month. Brilliant. Not too hard to do. Transcendental meditation, $2,600 a month. Brilliant. So all sorts of subjects out there. I stick with nonfiction. And I stick with kind of safe topics. I don't want to be giving medical advice or investment advice or anything sort of tasteless, want to keep it classy and, really help people with real subjects. And the people that write the books are doing really thorough research and quoting all their sources. And there's a quality control process on that too. So I'll share with you later how I use AI to help generate profitable ebook ideas as well, and how to get a feel for how profitable they're likely to be before I go off and order them with the writers. So I'll share that with you at the end. I'll share a few of my books as well. I'll just show you just as evidence of some of the books I've got. I've just blurred out the titles, but this one does over $4,000 a month. This one, a couple of 100 copies a month makes, I mean, they're really cheap, simple books, but you get a bunch of them all making, say, $714 a month. It's a very nice income stream. This one's $534 a month. And you just need maybe 5 or 10 good ones to start making a real difference to your life. You know, it's not like there's any more work to do once those books are up and selling. Just need to create them once and pay for them once. Create that little virtual bookshelf on your corner of Amazon and enjoy the sales and enjoy the income stream. I'll just check you're all following along with me. Okay. A few questions there. How much do I invest in the book before publishing? Well, I probably do a little bit of online research, which takes not that long and is free, basically, using the software I've already got. And then I give the writer sort of some bullet point chapter outline, which takes me, if I do it myself manually, takes an hour or two. And if I use an AI tool, about 2 minutes. And then the writers then take that, they go off and research, and a few weeks later, in comes the book. Or you can use a AI tool that generates the chapter outline and gives it to the writer. And then you can even use the AI tool to do a chunk of the writing for you. So this is our own in-house software that we've created, and I'll be showing you that in a moment. Brilliant. Okay, let's carry on. So you don't need to write these books yourself. There's ghostwriters. Ghostwriters work for all the big name authors. There's nothing cheating or immoral. This is what everybody does in the industry. All the big biographies, all the people that churn out a book a month, you know, is that lady Colleen Hoover? She has ghostwriters. I mean, everybody, even James Patterson always has that, you know, he's got his co-writer there. They are really happy to come up with the concepts and then somebody else churns out the words. There's platforms and agencies where you can hire the writers. Sometimes I use an agency, sometimes I kind of develop a one-on-one relationship if I'm doing a series of books and hire them through somewhere like Upwork. But there's some platforms that you don't want to use. Some are just designed for a totally different type of book production. And there's some rat bag, really awful agencies out there as well. So I've done a bit of trial and error on who to use here and who not to use. But the agencies can do a really good sort of one-stop shop. The book comes back, it's formatted, it's ready to upload to Amazon. They can do a cover for you, a book description for you, the whole thing. But you do have to choose the right agencies and brief them properly and know what instructions they need and know what they should be getting paid and that you're not getting taken advantage of. So I reckon most of my books would average about $1,000. And then I pay a cover designer to do a really nice image, because people do judge a book by the cover. So maybe another $30 or so for a good cover design. And I really like my books to have paid themselves off within a couple of months. And a lot of the time they do. And that's really nice. I mean, the last one I did would have paid itself off in days. So it varies by book to book. But that's what we like to do. And it's really scalable. You can do a book a quarter or 10 books a month. You know, it's totally up to you how fast you crank this thing, but the process is the same every single time. So once you've done your first book, it gets really easy. You know the steps, you know what the deal is. You just do more of them if you want to. So I get my books ghostwritten. If I pay $1,000 and make back 5,400 and something a month, that's fantastic. Very quick return. If I pay 800, this one's paid itself off sometime in the second month, and then it's pure profit. This one's, again, a little bit over a month to pay itself off, $633 a month. So if you could pay $1,000 and then in the next month it makes 500, and the next month it makes 500, and the next month it makes 500, would you think that's a good thing to spend your first $1,000 on? Is that a good investment? Yes. I think so. I can't think of a better investment than that. And there's just no stress with it. There's no refunds. There's no readers ringing up going, I think you missed a chapter. You know, there's reviews on the books, which is why I want them to be good quality and I use really good writers. But there's just no drama. There's nothing to worry about. You just publish the books and there might be a typo somewhere and you can edit it later if you find it, if somebody tells you there's a typo. But really, there's nothing stressful to deal with. It's really low hassle factor, which I love. I've had a Shopify store before, and you'd have all these tracking numbers and people getting stressed because the thing hadn't been delivered. And then they realized, oh, I moved house and didn't tell you the address, or, oh, my credit card bounced and that's why it hasn't been paid. I mean, there'd be so much admin and drama and hassle and customer contact and emails every day. I mean, I get not a peep from anyone apart from Amazon telling me that my check's on its way each month. So I'll show you how AI can do whole chapters or chunks of chapters, and how you can get actually books for free as well. That's another little trick we can teach you today. So one of the free methods is a thing called public domain books. And these are ones that have been published over 100 years ago. So Sherlock Holmes or Shakespeare. The rights for the authors expire after that period, and you're allowed to republish them on Amazon. You have to make a few little steps, which you need to follow to be compliant, but they're basically free. Those books are in the public domain, and I make some great money. One of my best-selling books is a public domain book. It's cranking. So some of them are, just things like Shackleton's Adventures in the Antarctic, or, you just take a classic book, Jules Verne's 120,000 Leagues Under the Sea, those sorts of books. You can republish those with a new cover and a little intro chapter, and they can be a really nice, quick way to get going. So this one isn't my copy of Shakespeare, but somebody here is making $1,967 a month by selling Shakespeare's works with a new front cover on, basically. Little Women, $5,552 a month for whoever republished that. Plato, $3,910. There's a bit of research to do to choose the right books here. You've got to check this demand and that it really is in the public domain. But this is a great model. A little bit of Crime and Punishment, good ratio of price to page count for whoever buys that one. But $3,553 a month for that. So the public domain books are great. Books in other languages are great. I've currently got the top selling book on dog training in Italian on all of Amazon Italy, which is very nice. And actually you can use AI tools to translate your books as well, which is really cool. And another free method that I really enjoy is a thing called low content books. So these could be like a workbook that goes along with your self-help book, or it could be a journal or some kind of logbook. It could be a logbook for your commercial work vehicle, or it could be a logbook for have you changed the baby's nappies, diaper and feeding type admin tracking, or when's the dog been to the vets and had wormers, and whatever, things that people keep journals and logs for. Some gratitude journal. I've got one of my ghostwritten books is a Bible studies workbook. I mean, it's not my subject at all, but that's selling really well. I had somebody really qualified write it. It's a really good book. It's like a sort of structured Bible studies journal. People love it. It sells really well. So coloring books are an example of a low content book. You can buy templates through a membership. There's really cheap, I won't go into all the details now, but you can create puzzles or crosswords or coloring books. This one's selling $11,600 something a month. A coloring book of animals for kids. A prayer journal for women, nearly $5,000 a month. A wedding planner checklist, $4,200 a month. And there's not much in there. It's just basic formatted checklists and ticking things off, really. The anxiety check-in every day, talk about your feelings, draw a picture, whatever it might be. Hardly anything in there. And that book sells really well on Amazon. This 1-minute gratitude journal, Today I'm Grateful For, sells $645 a month. So do you think you'd be able to do this? If I showed you the steps, does this sound doable? I think so. I think you'd be able to do it. If I can do it, if my students have followed the steps and learned how to do it, I think you could do it too. The journals are cool. Means you don't need to use the ghostwriter to write. The ghostwritten ones are cool because you can really tap into big demand on Amazon for books on that subject really easily. And the public domain books are really cool too. It's basically free book, just repackage it. Yeah, so it's really good. I've really liked all three of those strategies. The one I think that's probably the biggest would be the nonfiction, and the one that's the fastest and easiest would probably be the public domain. And then with a little bit of sort of shuffling your documents around a bit, you need to outsource some design stuff, to make the template nice for the low content book, or be able to drive Canva yourself, I outsource it. But, that's a really fast way to create a new book as well. So I do a bit of all three. And then you can always translate those books into other languages. I also turn all the nonfiction books into audiobooks and paperbacks. So that's a nice way to multiply the income streams even further. And you can always write your own book too. So I'm not teaching people how to be authors, but if you are already an author, or you've got a story to tell or a message you want to share, and you've got that bit of it sorted, but just need to know how to put it on out for sale, you can follow this system to promote it and launch it on Amazon and get it in front of your ideal readers as well. So I've written a couple of my own books. I wrote one a few years ago about selling physical products on Amazon, and it's made nearly $10,000. So I think this is all very exciting, and looking forward to getting into the details of the steps with you a bit more. Sue here didn't think anyone would read anything that she published, and she was so wrong. And she's got a really nice income stream coming in. She got 400 sales in her first 14 weeks. She's doing a little mini series, and she's got all her next books mapped out. She made $200 on one book in the first month, pure profit. And so 10 of those books is $2,000. 100 of those books would be $20,000 a month income. And she's having so much fun doing it. It really pays off, and you get progress really quickly. Those results are in weeks rather than months. Now, I get my book covers done by somebody who's really good at design, because I'm not, and I don't even want to try to. So that's maybe a $30, $40, $50 exercise per book, which is the only other bit that I really like to have done by a professional, because then it makes a real difference and it's a quality job. And you can actually use AI to do quite a lot of those cover designs as well, if you've got the time and inclination to do that. Then that makes it basically free, because we've got some really cool AI tools to share with you. And then there's another thing that really boosts your sales that most book sellers, I won't call them authors because a lot of people selling on Amazon aren't authors, they're just selling books. But most people on Kindle selling are not that commercially savvy. They're not business minded. They've got like one book, it was on their bucket list, or it's a bit of a project and they've, done a pretty amateur job of it. The competition is so light compared to other platforms or other types of product. But the nice thing is there's a few things you can do if you take this seriously as a business opportunity to crank the sales, which is advertising on Amazon. So it's not required, it's not compulsory or anything, but I found for a lot of my books, if I spend a few dollars promoting it each month, it makes a lot more dollars back. So you see this little sponsored tag on these listings here. You can pay Amazon a few cents, might be 8 cents for your book to show at the top of the page. And then somebody's far more likely to buy your book because it's at the top of page one. So if I spend $2 or $3 a day, it can really pay off over the month. So I'll show you some snapshots of my sales. It's really easy. You just tell Amazon the keywords that are relevant and your budget. And you can have a really low budget if you want to keep it sort of checked in. But if I spend $400 and something on ads here, it returns 1,600 profit, extra sales, which is totally worthwhile. It's a money machine. Spend 900, make 2,000. I'm rounding these numbers up because otherwise I'll just be talking numbers at you all day, but you can read them off the slides if I round them up or down a bit. Those are really good returns. Spend over 400 and make over 1,200 back. That's a brilliant return on investment. And this one spent $14. That wasn't much, but got $349 of additional sales. That wasn't the total sales. That was thanks to the ads, because Amazon tracks that and gives you a good report on it. So a little money machine, spend 200 to make 500. That's a good extra tool to have up your sleeve to help crank those book sales and make the whole game even more profitable. And the other thing is, when you spend some money on ads, you sell more books. So your book ranking on Amazon goes up. It sort of finds its way to the top of page one naturally anyway, because you're just getting more sales. So it really pays off short-term and long-term. So to give you a quick recap, some of the good things going on here, we've got a nice low competition, high demand platform that's easy to drive. We've got a system to outsource the books to a ghostwriter or AI tools. And then we pay a bit on advertising, and even more people see our books if we want to be more kind of aggressive about it. But that's sort of an optional thing to do later down the track. But put those things together and add a few books into the formula, and you've suddenly got a very, very lucrative business that's working passively, You've got a bunch of books in a little portfolio. It's not just one bestseller. You've got just lots of little books that are all produced by someone else, nice quality covers, good, well-researched content, nice reviews coming in from the readers because they're actually useful and good books. It's a brilliant model. I love it. So let's keep going. I've got a lot of slides here, so I'm going to make sure I cover everything we need to, but also mindful of your time because I know you're busy. So Megan here's built up to 4K a month within 6 months of getting started. Now that is good progress. She used to sell physical products like I did, and she's been cranking. So she sees that Amazon, has all these people selling books on Kindle. Why not her as well? So if someone's doing it, why not her? And she sees that the money's being made by someone, and some of them are doing it the way Sophie's teaching. It works. So she's got a flywheel, basically. She started one book, spent the profits from that, putting it into the next book. And now she's got, a little production line that's paid for. She's growing it through the profits of the first few books. And now she's got 4K a month coming in. It's probably much bigger than that by now since I spoke to her and got those numbers off her. But she's doing really, really well with this. So I hope you can see the value in doing this, the return on investment from getting a book written for you that you fully own, that you sell only on Amazon, just in one place, keep it really simple, do one thing well. Those customers looking to buy a book on that subject, go to Amazon, find your book, click away, Amazon pays you. Really simple. So I hope you can see that that's very powerful and very easy when you know how. There's a very formulaic way to produce these books and how to drive the Amazon side of things. And I can teach you all of those steps in more detail. And you've really got 3 choices. So you can either, have heard about this today and decide, well, that was nice, but I'll stick with the day job and maybe one day I'll have time. Or you might go, yeah, I'm all in. I want to learn about this, want to understand more and work out how to do it properly and make the most of this opportunity. Or you might kind of do a bit of a hybrid. I'll have a little look at it and try and figure it out myself. So those are your 3 choices now, and you'll be probably in one of those 3 camps at this moment in time. And what I'll do now is take you through the next part of the presentation, which is sort of how I can help you if you're interested in that. So if you are in the camp of want to do it and just now need to figure out how, let's hear from you. Who would like some help of some sort? I'll tell you exactly how I can help you in more detail, but just want to check that this is sort of making sense to you as an opportunity and it still is something you want to know more about. Brilliant. I think we've got the settings so I can see the messages, but you probably can't see each other's messages. So that's fine. I can see that you're all checking in. Brilliant. Lots and lots. Cool. Okay. Thank you. Alrighty. So what I'd like to share with you now, and I'm very proud of this, it's a program I've put together to teach you everything I know and everything I do with Kindle publishing. It's called, original name, Kindle Publishing Income. And it's a plug and play, really simple system. It's a very mechanical business model because every book has to be produced with like a high quality output and the process is always the same. So although it's producing books, it's actually the least creative business I've ever had. It's just a straight sausage machine of books and they need to be really good books. And that's about all there is to it. So you need to choose good keywords to get the right book topics. You need to have a good writer. You need to know where to find them and how to pay them and how to brief them. You need to upload it and have a very healthy Amazon account. And that's all you need to do. If you do that well, possibly could retire on it or maybe even sell your business one day. So inside Kindle Publishing Income, we've broken it down. We've got the step-by-step home study course. So this is like the classic core modules, all you need to know in order, presented so you can follow along, do the work, and you could actually run a whole business just from watching those. So assumes you know nothing about Kindle or books or publishing and that you're just here to learn from the very beginning. Lots and lots of short steps broken down into a home study course. So we've got laying the foundations, some mindset, how to do your book ideas, how to make your book a bestseller, how to make it sell on with the advertising, getting that cranking launch going. So that's the home study course. Now, I don't sell this separately ever. It's all part of the bigger program of Kindle Publishing Income. But I would say if we were to carve that bit out and sell it on its own, the total market value of that would be $2,997. That would easily be a fair price for that standalone course. But it's never been sold separately. I never will, because I like to wrap around other tools and support and things with it. So you'll see how I've put the whole program together. So you get this fully comprehensive bundle of tools and training, all the things you need to know. But that piece on its own is really, really valuable. So as well as the online course modules that you would do, it's nice to have some contact time as well. So I run a weekly group coaching call. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's one of my coaches or a guest speaker. And we do a live weekly call for you every week, and you can have questions, or we present a new topic or teach you something new, and keep that part of the program really kind of interactive, and like there's a community there. So that's really nice to see you all each week. If you can't make it ever, it's recorded. And if you've got questions and want to send them through in advance, we'll cover those on the call or get back to you separately on them. So that's some nice hands-on help from people who are doing this, getting results, and sharing it with you and helping teach you every single week. So the weekly group coaching calls, I mean, if we had that level of speaker and offered them live as a coaching call, typical market value of access to speakers like that and ongoing coaching calls like that would be around $2,400. But we don't sell it separately as part of the program. But that would be the sort of the equivalent market value of it if it were sold separately, which we never do. And then we've got the home study course, we've got the weekly group coaching calls, we've got a VIP concierge desk, so you can check in with my team, open a ticket, we'll get back to you and answer any questions you've got. And that just helps you get unstuck or find something in the course you've lost, or you've got some little technical question, we can help keep you moving along there. So 12 months access to the VIP concierge desk. If that were a service just as a standalone thing, it would be around $99 a month, but you get that included in the program. And then I'm going to keep recapping the long list because there's quite a lot in this program and a lot more to come. So I'll keep recapping on sort of a wrap-up slide here. Now, the AI tool, which I talked about earlier, now this is really cool. We've built a whole suite of software tools, and these are incredibly powerful. So AI is evolving so fast. By the time I go from doing this recording with you today, where you hear about today's, I've actually pre-recorded the demo of it just because I'll jinx it if I try and log in and out of different tools and wait for reports to run and stuff. So I'm going to play you a little demo of how I use the AI tools, but it's evolving so fast. And our tools tap into GPT-4. It's not ChatGPT. It's a bunch of tools specifically for us, for book publishers, self-publishing on Amazon's platform. So it's all the data and text creation that's going to really supercharge your publishing business, especially if you want to do a little bit more of it yourself and keep your costs down and have some really powerful data. So here is a little video of Abundant Scribe. So this is our in-house tool. It's owned by us, but Kindle Publishing Income. And it's being built for you to supercharge your book production. So I'm going to just play this video now. And while this plays, I'll just sort of talk you through some bits of it. So, okay, so the best way to show you how these tools work, Abundant Scribe, which is our in-house AI tool for authors, and KD Pilot, they work together and they both do a different job. So Abundant Scribe helps us come up with book topic ideas. It scans the internet, does all this creative thinking for us and throws out all sorts of book topic ideas that could work for us. And then we take some of those ideas that we like the look of, feed them into KD Pilot. And on KD Pilot, we can see if that's a profitable book topic that's making money for the person who's published it. So these are both really, really helpful things. They save us a lot of time, give us a lot of certainty, and it shows that you're making smart decisions in your book publishing business. So I've put in here a high-level topic. So dog training is a nice one to use as a demo subject because there's so many areas within dog training that we could explore and write a book about. So I'm going to hit the button and it's going to zip off around the internet and come back with some ideas for us in a minute. So I'll show you in a second. There we go. Okay, here it is. So we've got a bunch of suggestions here from Abundant Scribe. We've got one about training rescue dogs. That's interesting. We've got breed-specific training. That's a nice one because somebody training a gun dog to work is different from someone training a house dog to stop barking or something with separation anxiety. So different types of dogs with different types of breeding, different purposes in life. That will keep the competition down for those book topics by being more specific. Some obedience training and tricks, some dog training with positive reinforcement, a puppy specific one. One around aging dogs, nutrition and exercise. So Abundant Scribe's given us a handful of ideas here. So let's have a look at rescue dogs. That's interesting because obviously a lot of people do rescue dogs and then want to train them. So it makes sense. So that would make a good book. And also the breed specific one's quite interesting too. So a German Shepherd or a Terrier have very different brains, and obviously the training needs to be tailored for what the owner wants the dog to do. So let's hop over to KD Pilot and try out some of these ideas and see if we've got a winner, because we're always just looking for those winning book topics. So if you put in all of dog training in here, you'd get way too many results. So I want to just sort of show you what not to do at the beginning. This is far too competitive a subject. So there we go. So what I like to do is reorder it by monthly revenue. And you can see here that there's thousands of books in this crafts, it's called Crafts, Hobbies and Home, this category. So over 3,000 books that are about training dogs. So that's just too competitive. It would be really hard to break through with a new book here and actually get it ranked and selling. So we don't want to go after something that's really hard. We want a nice, easy win. Now, it did say earlier on this other side, on Abundant Scribe, that breed specific's a good idea, but we thought we'd maybe start with having a look at rescue dogs. But one here caught my eye, which was about one particular breed. So it had the Australian cattle dog, obviously easily distracted because there's a whole book on how to make them distraction proof. And we've got here a really generic one, another celebrity one. We don't want to try and compete with them. So this is just way too broad. There's just all sorts of different types of dog books here. We've got puppy training, applied stuff, control, unleashed, reactive to relaxed, service dog training guide. That was definitely over in the ideas section over here. So let's pick one that we can have a look at. So let's have a look at training rescue dogs and see if that's a good subject or not. So all we're looking for is evidence that the sellers on these book topics are making some money and that it's not too competitive. And then we've found one. So let's have a look at train rescue dogs. So we've got one here about French bulldogs, so that's irrelevant, but there's one here, rescue dog, inspiration step-by-step training. So that's definitely relevant, making over $1,900 a month in sales. So that's great. And then we've got some dog specific breeds, Japan, dog culture, King Charles Spaniels. They've probably had a bit of a resurgence since we've got a King Charles now. And golden retrievers. And then I'm just not seeing too many more. We've got all these breed specific ones. On they go. And there actually isn't another one yet about rescue dogs. So I would say that one's got not enough demand. One good book, but not too many on that subject. So that's good. We know that that's not going to be a profitable book topic. There's just not enough demand. There's really only one book doing decent sales. So we'll move on and try a different one. So let's have a look at, should we do a breed specific one or advanced obedience? Let's do a breed specific one. Let's go over and have a look at train a Labrador. Again, I like to sort by monthly revenue because I just want to see evidence that people are spending money on this subject. And you can see that rather than thousands and thousands of books, we're down to 40. And I know from experience that most books written on Amazon are actually quite low quality. So a total of 40 to compete against when a bunch of them are already going to be really low quality means we're in with a chance here. And we've got here the Labrador Retriever puppy month by month. That's a nice one. Breed specific, making 2,500 a month. Perfect. And then somehow Better Man, Better Marriage has slipped in there. It must have the word Labrador somewhere in the search terms. And then a complete Labrador book, essential guide, $1,400. Complete guide to Labrador retrievers, selecting, raising and training them. And that's another $980 a month. And then if we scan down a bit, we've got a few irrelevant ones, but we've got here another one on training your Labrador Retriever, Labrador, Labradoodles, not quite the same, but getting, Labrador Retrievers for dummies. So to me, this looks like a really good little, great, actually not just good, it's a great keyword. It's a great book topic. It's specific. The people who've got a Labrador, they buy a book, they're going to spend, a bit of money on buying some equipment, but also some books to learn some knowledge so they can do a good job of training and settling in their new puppy. There's only 40 other books that are relevant. So you're instantly on page one just by showing up. And I think this would be a really good subject. And it actually works out that the average monthly revenue is $634. And I'd say that with some good training, you could certainly do a better than average book. And best of all, we can come back over to the members area here for Abundant Scribe and use another tool. If we go into the content creation piece, we can go here and create a table of contents and say, without really overthinking the title, how to train a Labrador. I'll put dog in just to make sure it's got it. Topic, the book covers how to train a Labrador from puppy to adult. Main benefit of the book, have a well-trained Labrador. Target market, guess what? Labrador owners. Maybe we'll say new Labrador owners. Other benefits, additional details. I think I'll leave those additional benefits, additional details clear. And I think we'll just hit submit and we'll see how this table of contents looks. Now, the neat thing about this tool is you could take the table of contents it creates and give it to a ghostwriter who would then scurry off, do their research online and write a nice chapter for each one of these chapter headings. Or you could actually use another tool within Abundant Scribe, do a bit more of the work yourself and actually generate the chapters one at a time yourself for your book. So from this process, we've come up with ideas for a book topic. We've to come up with new ideas like a particular breed. Then we've double checked that there's enough money against that keyword for Labrador book training. How to train your Labrador. It looks great. So here we are. We've spent 5 minutes and found a great book topic already that's profitable. And then a couple of minutes later, here's a whole table of content. So this is fantastic. So this tool here, content creation, it's gone out online. It's scanned all the best practice and Googled everything and picked stuff up from all sorts of different reputable sites. And it's got an introduction chapter, then understanding your Labrador, the Labrador mindset, the puppy phase, challenges and joy, and a bit about their house training, socializing and stopping them chewing. And then we've got chapter 4, good habits, positive reinforcement and clicker training and the lure. And then we've got some leash training, controlled walks. We've got nipping and biting. We've got aggression, not hopefully a thing, but good to be prepared and have a good book to cover that. Separation anxiety, because they just want to be loved and don't want you to leave them. And then health and nutrition. And there's more, advanced obedience. And then noise phobia, aging gracefully for elder, senior labs, breeding, Labrador rescue. Well, that's a pretty comprehensive book in about 30 seconds, don't you think? And you could actually then take this yourself, work it up into the whole book using another tool in here, writing a chapter, which I won't demo now. Or you could just hand this over to a ghostwriter and spend your $1,000, but don't spend another minute on it yourself and wait for them to turn it into you a few weeks later, and you'll have a book ready to publish on a profitable topic, really interesting, evergreen subject that's selling well on Amazon, not too much competition, lots of money being made. And now you've got an outline and you can be in the game yourself. Very cool, I think. So I love having these tools. It really speeds up the process, gives you really good data, so you're making good strategic decisions so that you know your books are going to be profitable. So it means you can move fast. It means you can create really high quality books. And it just takes a whole load of the thinking and hard work out of choosing good book topics. So I really, really love being able to use these tools to build my publishing business. And that's why they're available for you. Okay. Now, hope that gave you a little bit of a feel for what's possible and the power of AI. And this is just evolving so quickly as well. So what you can do, I sort of didn't do a full chapter demo, but what you can do is use another one of these tools in this suite to take just the chapter headline, and then it'll actually generate all the text. So you still need to read it over and you might need to tweak it quite a bit or proofread it properly. You know, sometimes you'll need to add the sources, and it wouldn't suit all subjects, but for some subjects, and if you're prepared to do a little bit of that sort of not editing but kind of quality control and stuff yourself, you could actually get the whole book done with AI, and then you're not paying anything to a ghostwriter. So sort of a sliding scale there of outsource everything, just set and forget, and a book comes back. Do a bit of a hybrid, which is what I do, which is I use these tools to get great keywords and check the data and the stats to come up with hooks and angles and find what people are talking about, get real-time market intel, and then some chapter generated sort of subheadings. And then I hand it over to a writer. But what you can do on that, and actually then use the tools to write the whole chapter as well, do the editing and tidying up yourself, because there'll be a little bit of that to do. But that's a pretty powerful game plan, isn't it? Choose one of those three. Fantastic. So this one here, the writing assistant does the whole chapter here, or takes the text and then tidies up the text. So there's all sorts of improvements you can make on that basic first run. So we've got this whole thing does the chapters. So you can have human dog bonding, and you press submit and it's done. It takes a few minutes and you have a whole chapter. So you do that 10 or 12, 15 times, that's a whole book. And then up to you to kind of get it just running smoothly as how it flows, and have to add that human readability thing, just because it's been generated by a machine. But these machine generated texts are now so good. Some of the time you can't tell the difference and you don't need to do anything to it. Sometimes there's just a thing that doesn't sound quite right to a human, and you just need to have read it through yourself. And excuse me, just a bit of a cough. Let me just have a quick drink. And then there's even more stuff coming through with Abundant Scribes. So we've got an amazing team working on the tech side of this. I'm not techie at all. They've built this by understanding what we need as book publishers. And the team creating these tools are just on fire. They've got, access to these amazing data sets, and tapping into platforms like Reddit or Amazon, and, giving us amazing intel. But the next thing they can do is the book cover generators too. So the click of a mouse, being able to create a book cover to a really high quality, ready to upload to Amazon. And that saves you, $30 or $50 or so per book. But if you're doing a lot of books, that can add up. So it's a nice thing to have a tool that can do that for you as well. So some of these are really, really high quality, and we've just got that sort of in beta testing, and that's not far off at all, a couple of weeks away. Might even be up this week. So anyway, that's very, very close as well, having a book cover generator, because that's such an important part of your book selling well. So Abundant Scribe software is something that's been built for us in-house. It's only available to KPI students. And some of the tools are things like the Opportunity Explorer. I showed you the Topic Expander. So you really get the angle and narrow down your topics. So it's like training Labradors, not all dogs. A table of contents generator, which is a really useful thing. A chapter outline, so you can give that to your ghostwriter. That's probably my favorite one. That saves me a lot of time. The writing assistant to churn out the text. With the writer chapter, between writer chapter and writing assistant, you can pretty much get all the text done, ready to publish that way. And then the book cover generator coming right up. So if we were to set aside this software and sell it commercially on the market, which we don't, we never have, I'd say the value of this would be around $5,000. It's so powerful. It's so up to date. It's so comprehensive, all the different parts of the book production cycle that you need, the research, the actual generation, and even the cover designs. I mean, that's got to be a $5,000 piece of software should you have it on its own. So we don't sell it separately. We never will, and never do. But this is included in the KPI program for you today. So we also have 1 year access to our KD pilot software included in the program as well. So that's the screenshots I've shown you a few times throughout today's sessions. This is another in-house software tool we've got that just makes that book topic research really, really powerful and up to date. It's picked up live off Amazon of what's selling right now. The monthly sales are today's sales, so or this month's sales. So if we were to separate KD pilot software and sell that on its own, that would be worth $1,000, $997. But we always keep it all bundled together, and we like to put the whole program together. There's no point in having a tool but without the training on how to use it. And, if we have training and say, go and use some software tools, we want them to be ones that we control the quality of and can continually improve, and that lines up with the training. So everything in KPI is all sort of kept up to date by me and my team. And if the software gets an upgrade, then we match the training module update. And, we just keep the whole thing bundled up together as one full program. So to recap what's in here so far, we've got the home study course, the weekly group coaching calls, the VIP desk, the Abundant Scribe software suite, all those AI tools, which is such a big game changer, and KD Pilot software. So they're all included in this program, KPI income, Kindle publishing income. So the different components of that would be valued at, say, $12,000+ if we sold them all as a bundle like this already. And we've got Kat here, who's she's married with 3 children, and she made 162 sales in just the first few weeks of doing this. She lost her job during COVID, and she started redesigning her life and learning some new skills. She's had 162 sales in the first 3 weeks of going live, and her book became the #1 new release in its niche. Her next book's with its launch team, and book number 3 is nearly complete. So she's got this mindset now. She's seen what she has to do. She's found her reason, her purpose, her why, and she's really just clear what she has to do. She's had success with it. She's seen the pattern. She's learned the skills. She's just now got to rinse and repeat. Well done, Kat. Sarah's a teacher in Wisconsin, and she made $175 in one day before she'd even finished the course. So her module 8, preparing for publishing on KDP, she was just going through that, and halfway through module 9, before she'd even started module 9, had a day at over $175 a day. So that's before she's even learned how to advertise those books. So she says that the best investment you can make is in yourself. What are you waiting for? So these are such powerful skills. And the nice thing is you have to learn the skills to do your first book, but then it's the same for every subsequent book. There's not any tricky stuff. It doesn't get more advanced the more you do. You just do an easy thing over and over again. So I love that. There's no special skills or experience. You're not posting or shipping things or warehousing or running a techie website. It's just such a neat model. Compared to starting a more traditional business, if you wanted to open a clothes shop, you'd be in for tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time you've done leases and stock and staffing and fit out and so many things, vehicles, cafes, full fit out and all the compliance stuff, and then having to staff it. You're basically creating a job for yourself to run it. Hardware store, even the franchises of those cost hundreds of thousands. Restaurants, salons, any other traditional business has such high startup costs, whereas this, even if it was $12,000 to have access to all that training and all those tools, it's an absolute, it's just so much smarter a business model as well as being lower cost. So no inventory or equipment or bond or insurances, just super simple. Every dollar you spend is creating digital assets that you sell. I think it's a really passive model. I like that you can do it while you're traveling, when you're on the road. You can stop the work in school holidays, say, and just park it all up and just collect the income stream and then grow it a bit more when you've got time again. Or you can work really hard and just go for it and make it really big, really quickly. Now, today, for a bonus for you having turned up live on this webinar rather than, just stumbling across it some other time, the fact that you're here live and you've spent your time and energy making it to today's event, I want to give you some real benefits of signing up to the program today, to KPI. So instead of charging the full $12,579, we're going to do a bit of a special deal for you. So it could even be $9,999, but we've done even better than that. The price that you'll get this for today, only on the webinar, only if you sign up while this live webinar is still running, is an incredible saving on the normal price. So when we put this live on the website, the list price will be $4,997. But today live, if you sign up today, this is incredible. Webinar only price, $497 today, which is the amazing price that we can do it for because you're here live. And then there'd be 4 additional easy monthly payments of $497. So 5 payments in total, first one today. And that will get you started. You get full access to everything. We don't hold anything back. You start the live weekly calls whenever you want. All the recordings are there. You can go through the home study course in your own time. You could smash through that in a weekend and be up and published in a month. You know, this thing can be, you know, in action and working really, really quickly. So you've got the whole business in a box. Everything's laid out step by step, and you can just get going with it. So if you're ready to learn, we'll give you all the help you need, all the training you need, a whole support crew, a whole community. And what we'll do is we'll drop the link into the chat box so that you can click on that and go through. There'll be a form to fill out. You can pop your details in, and then once you're all signed up and registered, we will email you with your login, and you can open the doors and get jumped in and get started learning. So we've got a few bonuses that are for today's webinar only as well. So I'll run through these, and we'll do a little bit of Q&A at the end and then wrap up. So I hope you've really enjoyed understanding what this opportunity is all about. The training, I really believe, and I'm really proud of it. Students, you know, love it and are getting great results, but also whenever there's feedback, we need a bit more detail on this, or I notice something's changed, we'll always just keep it up to date and keep it live and really interactive between you and my team and me. So it's a really interactive learning experience. We've also got a pay in full opportunity, which saves you $497. So if you're outsourcing a book, that's like half a book right there. So we'll cover your last payment. So it would be, you know, instead of 5 payments, you'd only pay 4 if you pay in full today. So instant saving there of $497 makes it around the $2,000 mark. Can't remember to the exact dollar. So inside the KPI program, just to recap, you've got the step-by-step home study course. We've got the weekly group coaching calls, and I love doing those. We get a chance to have your questions and any updates, and you know, they're really fun live calls. The help desk, so we can bounce back answers to any of your questions really quickly so you don't get stuck. The AI tools in Abundant Scribe software. Now that's so powerful and such a money saver if you're budget conscious, such a time saver if you're tight for time. And great data, you know, the power of trawling all those Reddits and Amazon and Google platforms to give you ideas for your books, just incredible. The KD Pilot software to track all the profitability on different keywords. So the total value of the program with those components would be over $12,000 if we sold it like that normally. If you added up the component value, if they were all sort of valued on the market, we never sell it separately. It's all just part of this program. So great value getting started today for $497 with access to all of that. And then you've got the saving if you do the all upfront today option. And we've also got a money go back guarantee. So it's 180 days. So if any stage during the next 180 days, you've signed up and you don't think the program is exactly what you need, you've gone through it and you've launched a book and you've decided it's not for you, then let us know and we will 100% give you your money back. So we take all the risk on that one. We give you access to everything and 6 months basically to have a good go through it all. And then we've got that refund period there, which protects you fully. So if you're on the fence about signing up, you know that that's there to protect you as well. So you can click the Get Started button now if you're ready to get started. And you'll see all the details when you click on that link, and you can just get going right away. So we've got some bonuses for you today as well. And these are just today on the live webinar, of course. So there's a few things that we can add in to give you even more incentive to act now and get started in today's intake. So there's a bunch of new people learning all together. It's a good time to do this. The market's growing so fast and the competition's so low. And I just want to give you every chance to get going with it. So we've got some support as you get going, assuming that you're completely new to Kindle and wanting to learn, and you might need a bit of, you know, time to go through the training, and, you know, need to find your way around the training and know what's where. And what we do is get you started with a coach. So we give you some onboarding calls. We do a call straight away, you know, within a few days of starting. Straight away, we'll do an onboarding call, and then we'll do a one-on-one call with you a week in, and that'll just check that you're working through it, you're on your way, found what you need, you're making progress, and that'll be a nice way to check in with you. And then at day 45, we will have a scheduled call. One of my team will call you and we'll check in with you to either celebrate your published book or your success so far. If you've got stuck with something on that call, we can help you there as well and point you to the right part of the program. We'll give you a little boost of whatever support you need to get you back on track, because sometimes, you start and falter for some reason. So really, really good to have that nice constant contact. So when you get started, you're not on your own, just relying on your own willpower to do the work. You've got someone here checking in actively with you to help see you succeed. So we've got these 3 Pathfinder calls, and that'll help just keep you connected to my team and to the rest of the community as well, and check that you're finding time to work through the modules and making decisions about the books, and starting to see some results hopefully by then.